Last-minute shakeup at 5:30 a.m., laundry situation not good. And when your focus is on helping your clients, it's easy to forget about yourself. But NASM knows trainers.
Morning, Ryan. It's okay.
And staying in front of the day isn't always
Nice,
as simple
Ryan.
as 1,
What's
2,
up?
3. So when the unexpected has you pressing pause,
What's the latest on creatine?
I'm going to get back to you on that.
let NASM1 help you press play. Visit NASM.org to sign up for a membership today.
You're listening to the NASM-CPT Podcast with Richey, winner of the Share Care Emmy Award for Social Storytelling and the official podcast of the National Academy of Sports Medicine.
Hey, y'all, and welcome to the NASM-CPT Podcast. My name is Richey, and today I want to go through something. This is a little something that happened at the gym today, and I want to talk about it, and not because I'm mad about the mess. We're going to talk about the mess, but also there's a reason why people actually make this mess at the gym. Some gyms don't allow it, like mine. Some gyms think that you should bathe in it and roll around and make the biggest mess possible. No, actually, none of the gyms think that. They all think that you should be considerate, which is another reason it makes me mad. But today, we're going to talk about chalk. What's the point of chalk? Again, mine's chalk-free. My gym, chalk-free. Well, it was until this morning. When I walked into not only chalk riddling 8 of my 45-pound plates, but I also, they leaned the plates against the drywall wall at the gym. That also, that's a different podcast. Just kidding. No podcast about it. Don't lean weights against drywall. But after I calmed down, I thought about, like, why do people love chalk so much? And I decided to address it today. So what is the purpose of chalk in the gym? And let me go through the claims. And these are the basic claims, but I will say this. The people that love chalk. People that love chalk love chalk. I mean, I've seen chalk on body parts that will never touch a barbell, and not because they're messy, literally rubbing the chalk block on their forearms to I don't know, to blend in with their hands. I don't know. You don't make any sense. But why? Why do people actually wear, I don't know, wearing is the right word, put chalk on their hands and sometimes other parts of the body? Well, first and foremost, it helps to reduce moisture by absorbing sweat. And that one actually makes a lot of sense, because that's what chalk does. I mean, we know that chalk is really good for absorbing some moisture. So we're gonna put that on the list there. So yes for this one. Chalk can absorb sweat. Number 2, they say that it increases friction with the bar. And this is an interesting one, because in some instances, it is designed to increase friction, while in others, it is designed to help things slip more easily or rotate or spin in your hand without getting caught. When you think about people like gymnasts on the bars, and they're doing bar work or ring work, they need to, first of all, not slip, but they also need it so that it does spin smoothly. And the reason they need it to spin smoothly is because of number 3. It prevents blisters and tears for movements like in gymnastics where they're doing bars, or in the gym when you're doing kettlebell swings and kettlebell cleans. But a lot of times I don't like it for barbells, because the bar should not be spinning in your hand. But we will talk about what I do think that they're good for, and why I think some people have an irrational reliance on chalky chalk. This episode of the NASM-CPT Podcast is brought to you by NASM1, the membership for trainers and coaches. Members enjoy unlimited access to hundreds of career resources. Get the Edge app to schedule and program clients, enjoy half off all certifications and specializations, access to free CEUs, and more. all of this for just $35 a month. Go to nasm.org/membership to learn more about NASM 1. All right, so I went to find research. I went looking, and I will say this, I didn't find any research on chalk and Olympic lifting or working on barbells. I didn't find anything, but there's quite a bit of research when it came to using chalk for rock climbing. And rock climbing, you talk about needing something for grip. Rock climbers for sure need some grip strength. So here's what I found. There was one study came out in 2018, and it's Bacon et al. 2018. The effect of magnesium carbonate, chalk, use on repeated open hand and pinch grip weight-assisted pull-ups on International Journal of Exercise Science. And it basically says when compared to non-chalked trials, chalk did improve both open-handed and pinch grip. All right, open-handed. Let's see. It was 22. This is with chalk. They were able to hold on for 22.8 seconds, plus or minus 4.5 seconds. And then no chalk was 19.7 seconds, plus or minus 4.39. So they were able to hold on longer with chalk using an open-handed grip. So open-handed grip is it's like a pull-up grip, not a chin-up grip. So it's a pronated grip, palms are away. And this is rock climbing. So this is gripping with the fingertips, not gripping or grasping with the hand. Then I'll say the pinch grip, which is crazy talk if you ask me. So using your pincers, pinching grip, they were able to, chalk was 14.4 seconds, plus or minus basically 4.5 seconds. And then no chalk was 9 seconds, plus or minus almost 5 seconds. So the difference was pretty significant, actually. You could hold a pinch grip for 14.4 seconds compared to on average 9.1 seconds. So it basically indicated reliable measurement, while chalk improved performance on both open-handed and pinch grip when it came to non-chalk trials. But they're hanging from their fingers. That's not what we do at the gym. Now, it does make sense that there could be some correlation, but I was like, let me look in a little bit deeper, because in 2024, in the Journal of Sports Engineering and Technology, Clark et al. Wanted to find out the effectiveness of chalk as a friction modifier for finger pad contact on rocks with varying roughness. And basically, here's what it came down to. There were a lot of different things that came into effect. The friction testing was conducted, and there were multiple people that was part of it. In some situations, chalk improved the coefficient of friction, and in some instances, it worsened it. And so basically, they walked away with these kind of 5 points here. And they're wordy and they're verbose, but let me just go through a little bit of some of them. The test method described provides consistent method to test different loads, moisture conditions, and rock types. So they did different types of rock types, they're granite and sandstone, and how all of these measured against those different types of rock. And the methods allowed the participants to control the normal load in a representative way, how they would be in contact whilst rock climbing. So basically what it did is that, kind of based on the surface, the chalk filled in some of the gaps, and it made it feel more uniform. Number 2, the roughness of the rock generally correlates with the level of the coefficient of friction when it comes to contact. So the higher coefficient experienced on rocks with higher surface roughness parameters. Makes sense. The grain size seemed to be the most dominant in the patterns of the rocks and the spheres, and therefore a higher coefficient. So now I've got the different kind of texture of the rock. Don't worry, I'm going to turn this back towards the gym in a moment. Moisture in contact adds an additional complexity and affects the coefficient of friction, and it makes it inconsistent. So depending on many factors, including rock topology and level of moisture, the friction can be down to excess water acting as a lubricant or deformation of human skin. Chalk increases the number 4 coefficient in more dry conditions than in wet conditions. So you get more friction in a dry condition than in a wet condition when using chalk. And then finally, chalk does not always increase friction. The application of chalk was shown to make the coefficient of friction more consistent in situations and therefore more predictable for climbers. Further investigations on the effect of surface parameters would be beneficial, and the effective variable nature of rock surfaces, I think, would be compared to the artificial climbing holds. Now, this is all important. I think that's important to point out. So it is not always beneficial. Why? Because it helps with grip. It helps being able to hold on. It helps with kind of across the board, no matter what surface you're on, it makes it more uniform. So when you chalk, it kind of levels out the gaps that you would feel in the different textures. But here's the thing. A barbell has something called knurling on it. Knurling, with a K. All right. And it's got a K in the front. And that knurling is designed for us to be able to grip and grasp and minimize slippage. Now, can chalk help to minimize that? The chalk heads out there scream, "Stop talking, Rick." Yes, it helps. But here's the thing. We don't have any actual data on it. Now, I would say that there's probably something based off that first research. There's probably something to it that they were able to hold on with their fingertips when it came to rock climbing longer when they were chalked versus non-chalked. They were able to hold on in a pincer grip longer when they're chalked versus non-chalked. But with the knurling and the bars, I find it very grippy to hold on to a bar. Now, can slips happen? Yes. And in that case, and for safety reasons, if you were doing Olympic lifts, I think it's very, very, very important that if you add chalk, then that could help to not lose your grip as much as you would versus unchalked. Now, this is why I bring it up. For most people, it is a placebo. For most people in the gym doing regular lifts, even a lot of people who are doing really heavy lifting, unless you're doing really heavy lifting, or unless you are going until the absolute end so there are no reps in reserve pretty much, then you probably will never need to chalk up unless you are also just incredibly, like, you sweat from your hands. Now, there are other things that I think are less messy, like liquid chalk, and have more grip, because chalk not only has some grip, but it also has some slip. And sometimes Olympic athletes, not Olympic weightlifters, but people who are actually doing Olympic gymnastics, will also incorporate things like honey or some other stuff to make it sticky before they had the options of other types of chalk that do that without leaving a mess. Now, if you want to chalk and you're at a gym where they chalk up, go ahead, chalk it up. But if you're at a gym that doesn't allow chalk, and you think that you're very upset because you need chalk, let me just say this: you probably don't. You probably don't need chalk, and it may help. It may help with your grip, but I'm also of the opinion that that might be the gym that you work out at to work on your grip a little bit more. Maybe work on getting a little bit stronger grip. Rick, I deadlift 750 pounds. All right, use lifting straps then. No, I believe in grips. Do you? Do you, Chalk Warrior? So I'm not opposed to chalk. I'm not mad at chalk. I see people chalking up to do bench press. Y'all, that don't make any sense at all. There's a thing. I do it with my kids, and when I was growing up, there was something, particularly in junior high and high school, that we used to do called a mush. We would mush people. And a mush is if you did something or said something stupid, and then we would, some people would push on the side of your head. That didn't go over well with me, and that could lead to fights. But we would squeeze their shoulder, give them a little squeeze on their shoulder, and we'd say mush. I do that with my children to this day. And sometimes we just say mush from across the room without any squeeze. I think that a lot of people that chalk up to do bench press, they get mushed. It's not going to squeeze on your shoulder and go mush. And that's not going to slip out of your hands. That's not going to slip out of your hands unless you put on some lotion before going in, because you're not grasping the bar the same way as a pulling exercise. And I can see if you are going to kind of end rep range and you're doing something, you're getting really sweaty, like CrossFit, they're very, very sweaty. And sweat, you don't get to decide where that comes from, and your hands will sweat. So while you're doing exercises, you might need something to help absorb some of that moisture, not because you need it to lift the weights, but because you need it to absorb the moisture so that you minimize the chances of slipping. Y'all, all I'm saying is that for most people in a typical gym, in a membership-based gym, in a gym that the majority of people will attend, chalk don't make any sense. And there are Olympic lifting places out there where I see people chalking up to do weights that they can do without chalk. And I believe that there's nothing wrong with chalking up if you don't need to, in a place where it's totally welcome. And the only super most important thing that I think chalk is good for is that when you clap it together and it makes that cloud and you look like LeBron walking through fireworks, that's the precipice of chalk use, if you ask me. Use it, don't use it, but at least think about it. I really do believe for most people that use chalk, and there are Olympic lifting places, some bodybuilders, people in CrossFit and doing other high intensity exercises where they're going to be sweating a lot and they're pushing themselves to final reps and they're moving heavy weight fast. Chalk can be very helpful. Otherwise, stop chalking up to do bench press or just regular old bent over rows. If it's not your grip that is collapsing, it's probably it could be something else. Let's work on grip strength. Let's get a little bit stronger and stop relying on the placebo when it's not needed, unless you're in a place where you can just use it and it doesn't matter if you make a mess or not. Final thing, if you do use chalk in anywhere, don't make a mess. Don't make a mess. Nobody appreciates it. Management, ownership, the people that have to clean it up don't appreciate it. Clean up after yourselves. All right, y'all. Thanks for listening. Like, subscribe, share with your fitness friends and family. Leave a review unless you were absolutely chapped by this particular episode. You're going to be like, I'll leave a review. I'm so mad. People get upset when you talk about chalk. I didn't say you didn't need it. I just say that most people don't. You probably agree if you think about it. All right. You got questions for me, you can reach out. Hit me up on Instagram, dr.rickrichey, or email me, rick.richey@nasm.org. Y'all keep inspiring people to fitness. This has been the NASM CPT Podcast.